this evening as we go to the men's events final. But again, in this case, let's look back for just a moment. We saw the all-around competition the other day, and it was supposed to be the 3 R's. Well, it was the 3 R's, but there was a U and an S stuck in there, too.
Well, certainly Lance Ringnold, it was really exciting to see that he's gotten back his fire. But Cheney Humphrey and David St. Pierre did a terrific job to take second and third in the all-around.
Let's talk about the events competition that we're going to be seeing tonight. More of same?
Well, there's no question that we're going to see America's best. Lance Ringnold, of course, as I mentioned, has got that fire back. He was an Olympian in '88 in Seoul. He's going to be competing in all 6 events, and he's especially great in floor exercise and vaulting. It'll be terrific to see him. You can see here on the high bar event, he does beautiful work doing terrific, intricate release sequences.
Cheney Humphrey, maybe a bit of a surprise. I don't think folks at home mightn't exactly know who this person is, but I have an idea they're going to.
Well, Cheney's only 18 years old. He trains at Gold Cup Gymnastics along with Lance Ringnold. Now, Cheney recently went to UCLA, but he's training this summer at Gold Cup. We'll see him in 4 events, and in particular, the floor exercise.
And we mentioned David St. Pierre. He was a bit of a surprise, perhaps, but now he might have set the tone.
Now, David's 22 years old, and he goes to UCLA. This is one of the finest meets I've seen him have. We'll see him compete in 4 events, and he did a terrific job here on the pommel horse. We'll see him in the finals on the pommel horse.
And we talked about the 3 R's. Here's one of them right here.
Michael Racanelli is very impressive. Had a terrific year, taking second in the NCAAs, third in the U.S. Nationals. He's only 20 years old, out of Ohio State, coached by Peter Corman, and he got a 9.9 in the floor exercise routine with work like we're seeing here. We'll see him in the finals as well.
That's pretty much what we're going to be looking for as the men's event competition. 6 competitors appear so easy. 6 disciplines that test the human body beyond reasonable limits. 6 events requiring speed, strength, mobility, stamina, flexibility, and grace. The rings, a strength event that requires the upper body of Schwarzenegger, the precision of a surgeon. The vault, where explosiveness is the key. Carl Lewis meets Evel Knievel. Parallel bars, a control and balance discipline. Mario Andretti and Mikhail Baryshnikov. And the high bar, the daredevil of the flying Walendas, the timing of Chopin. 6 individuals in each of 6 disciplines. Today the event competition is men's gymnastics once more plays the Myriad Arena. I'm Barry Tompkins, along with Olympic gold medalist Bart Connor. And Bart, I think we absolutely have to talk about Lance Ringnold before we look ahead to today. He was dominant in the all-around.
Lance was brilliant. In fact, his win of 1.5 in the all-around is a huge win in any gymnastic competition. That's about like a 20-point win in a basketball game. That's big.
Today, though, a very different kind of competition. This is the event competition, and here's a case where everybody can relax a little bit and just go for it.
And once again, Lance Ringnold is in all 6 event finals, so he has a shot at adding 6 more medals to the already 2 that he has. But tonight's event is really great because, as you mentioned, no scores carry over. Everybody's going to cut loose. There's no pressure from the all-around competition, and this session always turns out to be the most exciting in any gymnastic meet.
And it is interesting because after each event, basically we start all over again, so nobody is ever out of it. Let's go now down the road to Norman and the track and field competition where Jim Kelly holds forth.
Thank you, guys.
Arena for those standing ovations. We're getting ready for the first event in this event competition, and that would be the floor exercise. And once again, Bart, you just have to look at Lance Ringnold and say, here's a guy who should win this thing.
Well, Lance is certainly one of the favorites. He scored a 9.85 in the preliminary competition. Michael Racanelli scored a 9.9, and we'll be seeing him as well. So it's going to be a very tight competition here in floor.
Let's talk about the requirements in floor exercise.
Well, I think gymnastics is many times is a very difficult sport to understand, and perhaps this will shed a little light on the specific requirements on this event. The gymnasts do normally 4 tumbling runs, but they have to show at least 3 different acrobatic connections with at least 1 C element. That's one of the more difficult elements. They have to do a strength part. We'll see that in the routine, and we'll also see 1 static element, a balance on 1 leg or 1 hand. And I'll point those out as we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll talk a little bit more. Here's the scoring breakdown. We'll talk more about C and B elements and what they are, but let's talk about this first part.
In the scoring, the judges are looking for 4 points in difficulty. That comes from A, B, C, D moves. In combination, those are those specific requirements. Execution, that's form, that's worth 4.4. That comes down to 9.4. The bonus points are 6/10, and there's 2/10 for risk, 2/10 for originality, and 2/10 for virtuosity, and I'll try to point those out as we go along.
And the crowd responding warmly to the first competitor, Lance Ringnold, and why not? He has really emerged as the coming star amongst the men, has he not?
And Lance was certainly a surprise to make the '88 Olympic team in Seoul. I thought he would start to mature into great competitive form in a couple of years, but boy, he is at 19 years old. He is tremendously tough. He can do every big trick. Look at this combination here. From the circles, he does 3 Swiss hops. Shows great flexibility. Now here's a press to a handstand. That fulfills the strength requirement that I mentioned earlier. In addition, the floor exercise mat is 12 meters by 12 meters. The gymnast needs to cover the full floor area. Here's his second of 3 connecting tumbling runs. Front step out through to a double full punch front, 1 1/4.
Lance Ringdahl from Albuquerque, New Mexico, training with Ed Birch there in Gold Cup Gymnastics. That's a coming club in the sport of men's gymnastics.
There's no question Ed Birch has developed some really fine athletes, and you can see here Lance is doing that balance on 1 foot that your judges also need to see. So he's fulfilled all the requirements. Here's his last run, tuck double back. Nicely done.
Lance Ringdahl sets the tone for what is to come here in floor exercise. And this crowd, can't say enough about this crowd. It's your home here, really. And they have just been tremendous. They appreciate everything that's seen. Just a good crowd. Take another look at the first pass.
This opening tumbling run is outstanding. Laid out 1 3/4 flips with 1 1/2 twists through to a straddle jump, punch front. Great combination elements of back tumbling through to front tumbling. In his second pass, he also used a similar combination. Here's a front step out. He continues through to a double twist. And notice when he lands his double twist, right as he lands, boom, right there, he punches to a front 1 1/4. Let me tell you, that's tough on the old Achilles tendon. His last tumbling run was a very high tuck double back, but you'll notice Lance doesn't get his arms up quick enough. His arms are very low there on the takeoff. He's a little short, has to pull it around and ends up taking a hop.
All right, now there will be a judges conference, as always, after the first performer. He seemed to do a pretty good job here. Now, is that going to set the standard very high for everyone else?
It's always very difficult to be the first one to go up because the judges tend to be a little conservative with the first performance in any event.
There's the score for Lance Ringdahl, 9.75. So there is something to shoot for now for the rest of these competitors, who are, incidentally, Patrick Kirksey, David St. Pierre, Cheney Humphrey, Mike Racanelli, and John Roethlisberger. 6 competitors in each of 6 events. Patrick Kirksey up next. 1989, as you see, he was the national champ, or rather finished second in floor exercise this event in the national championships. And again, you can't say enough about the fans here in Oklahoma City.
They have been very appreciative and makes me feel really proud. I came here about 12 years ago, and my coach Paul Zerton and I helped develop gymnastics in this area, and I'm really glad to see that the Oklahomans are turning out to cheer on not only many of the gymnasts here, but certainly in the women's competition as well. There were some stars from Oklahoma. Patrick Kirksey opens with a full twisting double, and did he nail that or what? I love the position in the air on that full twisting double.
Now he is 5'10". Does that help him or hurt him? Did he go out of bounds?
Well, it looked like it hurt him there. It seemed to me his hand was on the line. That'll be a 1/10 of a point deduction. So in that case, his 5 feet, all 5 feet 10 of them, got him in a little bit of trouble.
That's right. If he was your height, he'd have been all right.
He'd been in the middle of the mat. Good flexibility as he does a press to a handstand from a split. Once again, showing terrific control. That's the strength requirement. So far, he's done 2 of the tumbling passes. He's fulfilled the strength requirement. He's done 3 of the tumbling passes, excuse me. There's the last requirement. He has to fulfill the balance on 1 leg. Takes his breath there as the judges ring the bell that signifies he has 20 seconds to continue his routine. Nice high tuck double back.
Patrick Kirksey of Atlanta, Georgia. And he will be shooting for a 9.75. That the score put up by Lance Ringdahl, who was the first competitor here in floor exercise. Let's take another look at his first pass here.
This is a great looking full twisting double back. It's very clean and precise in all of the mechanics. Good lift. Open tuck position. He doesn't have to grab his legs to pull around the rest of the flip. That was nicely done.
And his last pass.
Let's go, Stacey!
This is the tuck double back. I believe he gets his arms up a little bit better than Lance did. Yes, good reach. He's very high, a little sloppy in the form. Higher than I think he planned on. He had to take a little bit of a step there.
And again, we can't emphasize enough that these athletes have been working very, very hard since the national championships, and of course pointing toward the world championships in October. And even though we mentioned the fact that they will be more relaxed tonight, there still is the simple fact that they have been working extremely hard. 9-6-5, the score for Patrick Kirksey. So he doesn't quite get enough to move into the lead ahead of Lance Ringnauld. A lot more to go, and we'll be back. Tompkins with Bart Connor, Kathy Johnson alongside. She will be talking to some of the competitors as this event final moves along. We're at the Marriott Arena here in Oklahoma City, and as we mentioned, an outstanding crowd, as there have been throughout the festival here. There's a good look at them. They are not only most appreciative, they are a very knowledgeable crowd, and I think the man on my right had a lot to do with that. You've really educated the folks here in Oklahoma City.
Well, I'm certainly happy to have been a part of that, as has Kelly Garrison Steves, I think, helped in promoting gymnastics in the state of Oklahoma, and it's really nice to see the Oklahomans turning out in fine style.
It has really caught on without question. This is the floor exercise. This is the first of 6 disciplines that we're going to be seeing today, and the man you're looking at right now really made quite an impression in the all-around competition. Just looks like an athlete, just merely from appearance. Cheney Humphrey. Kathy Johnson pointed out the other night that he has the body of a linebacker, smaller version certainly of a linebacker, but he definitely does.
Cheney's actually 5'6" and 140 pounds, but you'd never know it. He looks like he's about 185. He's only 18 years old.
He had a pretty good all-around competition himself.
Yes, and he was 7th in the U.S. Championships, and of course he was 2nd here. He was 1.5 behind Lance Ringnauld, but it was an impressive meet for Cheney. Cheney scored a 9.8 in earlier round of this event in the all-around and team competition, so we know he has it in him. He should open with a laid-out double back. Wow, that was nice. In fact, almost a little too nice. Over-rotated it just a little bit.
Did he save it?
Yeah, he saved it beautifully. I'm sure it'll probably be a 1/10 of a point because he was a little out of control. But he'll get his bonus points back, as I mentioned earlier, virtuosity for showing tremendous amplitude in his tumbling. Here's the second run. Full twisting double. Over-rotated again. Boy, is he powerful.
Does a competitor have to adjust to the mat, or is the mat the same pretty much anywhere you go?
Actually, the mats are quite different, especially when you travel internationally. We used to go to the People's Republic of China, and their mat was green carpeting. And to me, it looked and felt like a pool tabletop. This thing was hard. The mats in the U.S., we have the best equipment in the world here, AAI, in the U.S., and Cheney just drops out of that tuck double back on that very springy floor.
Fine performance for the 18-year-old out of Albuquerque, coached by Art Sherlock at UCLA. Another look at his first pass.
This layout double back was sky high, and it's difficult to get not only terrific height, but also an amazing amount of rotation. Notice the lift. Look at the body position. He is up there, and he pulls it around, landing almost straight up and down.
And his second pass.
This is the full twisting double back. It's a full in the first flip, and then a tuck back in the second. Maybe just a little sloppy. One little step, but his routine was very difficult. This was a terrific dismount. He stuck the landing. Good height. Nice job.
Cheney Humphrey, 9.50 the score for Cheney. And that will move him.
I think it could have been a higher score.
Yeah, it does seem like
a little bit low.
Lance Ringnauld continues to be the leader, and Patrick Kirksey was the second performer. Is second, and Cheney Humphrey back in third place. Mike Racanelli now won the national championships in this discipline.
And he scored a 9.9 yesterday here. Wow. There's a layout double through to a flip-flop, straddle jump, punch front 1 1/4. That is a world-class mount. Second run, full in, perfect landing. This guy is on. There's the flares. Notice he cranks it up to a pirouetting handstand and down to a straddle splits. I like this combination here. He fulfills not only the strength requirement, but also the originality requirement. And he gets the 2/10 bonus back for doing a wide straddle press handstand through a splits. Good-looking originality. Handspring front with a full in the laid-out position. Opponent front to a knee. Once again, here comes that 1-foot balance. Good strength and